dirty couch is blowing up, man.
Nah, they rocking with it for real, man. They rocking with it.
What's
I think we on the something.
Yeah, what's the next move? What we need to do?
Nah, this is what we're gonna keep doing though. We're gonna keep promoting the rappers, man. You know, we got rappers trying to get up out the city. This is what we're gonna do though. We're gonna change. We're gonna try to get some promoters, some club promoters. Let's start talking to some club owners. You get what I'm saying? We're gonna start doing it like that, man. Get some.
Yeah, come on, man. Like, I think that's putting ourselves in a box. Like, no, let's talk to more politicians. Let's talk to preachers. Let's talk to like all these entrepreneurs in Augusta. Man,
oh, them episodes be boring. Them episodes be really boring though. Look, if you look at the views go down on them type of episodes. Look at them politicians. Every time we put a politician on there, the views be low. Let's keep the views high. Let's talk about the fights. Let's talk about all these killings in the city. Like,
so we doing it for the views now? Like, I thought we was doing it for the community. Like, bro, like you tripping, man. What do we need to do, Neal?
I think you might be right.
Dang. Right. So who up next?
But that's the whole tragic point, my friends. What would I...
Thank y'all again for tuning in to On the Dirty Couch with the Blair Brothers. We have another local superstar celebrity from the city of Augusta, Georgia. He graduated from Cross Creek. Matter of fact, I'm going to let him introduce himself to y'all and tell him what he do.
All right, man. I'm Jordan Johnson. I'm the president of the Young Democrats of Augusta, Richmond County, and I'm also the political director for the Richmond County Democratic Party.
If y'all don't know, y'all, that is a big deal, man. I'm glad to call this man my friend. Absolutely. We kind of deal with each other on so much stuff. He helped me out with so much stuff, man, and I appreciate you, Jordan Johnson.
Absolutely, man.
And today is no holds barred, right?
No holds barred.
We talking about everything today, man. So let's start off with just Young Democrats of Augusta. Like, tell the people what is the Young Democrats of Augusta, and what do you do in there?
Okay, well, we are a political organization, of course, and our goal is to get young people involved in the political process, ages 14 to 40. Our goal is to really make sure that if you have an issue that that's important to you, that we push that issue, that we put you in connection with people who know how to get these issues solved, and not only that, we empower you to get out here and make positive changes in your communities. And so that's a really great organization to be a part of.
Young Democrats of Augusta, like a lot of people don't know that actually exists. What do you all do to kind of advertise it to the people?
Well, we have meetings on every second Thursday of the month in different locations. We've been at the Humanitarian House before. We've done it at the Ronald McDonald House, Augusta University. Excuse me. And so so we're having our local second Thursday meetings, and aside from that, we try to have events down at First Friday just to let people know that we're out there encouraging people to get involved. We hold breakfasts in conjunction with the Richmond County Democratic Party. So we're just trying to do different little things, fun things aside from politics, because sometimes politics can be a little bit on the boring side. But we're trying to do things fun to get folks involved, whether that's being out in the communities or First Friday, whatever the case may be.
Now, is there a young Republican of Augusta?
I'm sure there's somewhere.
You not affiliated with each other?
There's a Republican, college Republicans organization on Augusta University. Yeah, and we are familiar with them. We work with them on a number of occasions. Yeah.
Nah, my question is, how did y'all? I know I'm saying y'all. we did it, but how did y'all let Trump win the presidency?
Well, a lot of things went into that. I think Donald Trump woke up a majority of Americans that had been asleep for a while. I think he empowered people in the South. He empowered a lot of folks who had tuned out of the democratic process. He pandered to different civic organizations, civic groups, churches, different faith organizations. He pandered to them, and I think we spent so much time laughing at Donald Trump in the beginning that we forgot that this man could be president of the United States. We ran Hillary Clinton. She did a magnificent job. Whether you're on the Bernie side or the Hillary side, at the end of the day, Democrats are still able to come together to a certain extent to make sure that Hillary was on the right path to being president. She did get 2 million more votes than Donald Trump in the popular vote, more votes than any candidate in the history of presidential elections got. But at the end of the day, I think Donald Trump tricked a majority of Americans. He tricked them. He lied to them, and he said whatever he had to say to get elected. And I mean, you see where we are right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, his base was empowered.
Now, as far as the Young Democrats, what do you all do for the community itself? I know you kind of gave a little bit of stuff. Like, what do you do directly for the community?
Well, we're basically whatever the community needs. We want to be there. We have a position within the Young Democrats that's fairly new. It's called, we have two positions. Community Action Director, which is specifically engaged in the community. It's the person who's going out making sure that community service projects are happening. whether that's cleaning up the roads or if there's a scholarship fund going forward, that we're making sure to raise money for different scholarships for schools. We're in the school systems, making sure that there are volunteers in the schools, mentor groups going into the schools. And there's also another position that we created called the Director of Voter Engagement, that whose job is just to specifically listen to the concerns of the community, whether that's legislative concerns, whether there's problems with your commissioners. That person would be your go-to person, your liaison, to go ahead and start kind of getting the job done. Because like I said earlier, politics can be, it can be a foreign language to certain people. But if you have a pothole in your front yard and you need it filled, you can come to us, we can help you get that done. And not only that, but like I said again, if you have a scholarship fund, if you're an organization and you're raising money for a scholarship, we have no problem helping you raise money for that scholarship. Not only that, but in every other just community concerns, community aspects, we like to be involved in it. Because if you know who your elected officials are, that's fine. But if you don't know who your community is, if you don't know who makes up your community and what the concerns of your community is, then knowing who your elected officials are, that kind of outdoes the purpose. So we're just trying our best to be out there and as active in the community as possible.
Now, just speaking of the community, man, I'm talking about everybody knows about this big fight that's kind of went viral all over. Like, it started in Augusta and it just went everywhere. Like, so, like, how do you guys, like, kind of, I don't know, like, how do you stop that from happening? Then all these deaths we're having, the fight went viral, and it seems like it just keeps spiraling out of control, and then we have a death like every day now. Like, what do you all do to kind of combat that, or do you all talk to the people involved, or how does that work?
Well, I think right now what we really need to be focused on is figuring out what role do we play in making our city a better place. I mean, of course, every city has fights. Every city has.
Did you see the fight?
I saw the fight. I saw the fight. I did. I had a friend.
You know that fight was big when Jordan seen the fight.
I had a friend that texted me the link on Facebook, and
wow.
I saw the fight. But you know what? I'm like, again, you just got to figure out what role do you play in fixing these issues. Whether that's going out into the communities and talking to people. I'm from the bottom, and so I know the bottom. I'm from the bottom, so you have to figure out what piece of the puzzle that you fit in. So where these killings are going on, every city has killings. Every city has fights, but the difference between cities who have killings at a lower rate than other cities are the people in the city that's tired and fed up with that kind of stuff happening in their cities. It breaks my heart when I see young black boys killing other young black boys. When I see anybody killing anybody. Because you have to just imagine, you have to think about it. If you're 17 years old and you were just killed, you had your graduation ahead of you, you had your prom ahead of you, you had your weddings, children, everything ahead of you, and that's just a life that's gone. And so we have to be, absolutely keyed in, zeroed in on solving these issues in our community. And how do we do that? We can't do it as a party. We can't do it in our own, separate corners. We got to partner with other organizations. We got to partner with the schools, partner with these churches around here, and make sure that they know that we're serious about stopping these things in our community. We've got to have a love and a passion for the people of our community. Not when it's just time to get out there and vote. Not when it's time to just raise money or get X, Y, and Z done. But we got to really be passionate about the boys and girls in our neighborhoods and our communities, because they are the future. So we have to figure out what role we want to play in that.
And I think a lot of the issues come from people being bored. Like, I'm on Facebook all the time, and somebody will say, man, I'm bored, ain't nothing to do, or to be real, inbox, or to be honest, inbox. I'm like, man, y'all got too much time on y'all hands. Y'all keep saying there's nothing to do in Augusta, but clearly Jordan's telling you come to the Augusta, the Young Democrats of Augusta, right?
Yeah, not only just the Young Democrats of Augusta, because that kind of stuff ain't for everybody. But why don't we, different community groups or different folks in the community who just cares about the community, we can come together and brainstorm on how to come up with job opportunities for folks who otherwise wouldn't have any jobs. I mean, we know that between the hours of 3 and 7 o'clock, children get in trouble at alarming rates. We can have different programs in communities to keep kids off of the streets, like the Boys and Girls Club and other organizations. That was a little plug right there.
Yeah, I like that.
But different little organizations to come together, and we can fight for jobs to come in these communities. We can fight for part-time jobs for teenagers in these communities where crime and fighting and killing, where they're at their highest levels. I mean, we can make that happen. But it's going to take people who actually care about these issues to come together and make this stuff happen. So, I mean, yeah, you can come join the Young Democrats if you want to, but what happens if you care about the community and you aren't a Democrat? We still have killings in our communities. We still have fights in our community. And at the end of the day, I've never seen a fight label itself as a Democrat or a shooting label itself as a Republican. These are issues that affect everybody, not just parties and organizations.
That's true. Now, a lot of these, I guess the younger generation, you know, they're into like the gangs and the girls into twerking and all that type of stuff. Like, is it any way we can kind of flip that into a positive? I know that might be a stupid question, but can we flip that? The stuff that they like and the stuff they pay attention to, can we flip that into a positive? Do you think?
I believe so. I think that we can't just sit out here and fight them over what they like to do. I mean, we were kids at one point.
Yeah, we liked some crazy stuff.
We did some really crazy. I know I did a lot of stupid stuff.
Because you're from Southside, right?
I'm from Southside.
Yeah. So.
You know.
We know how it is in Southside.
That says enough. Yeah. You know? But just because we feel like we've made it, or we may feel like we've arrived, which we haven't made it, and we haven't arrived. I think that, you know, we need to just stop looking down on the kids because of what they like the sagging pants ordinance, for instance. That's unnecessary. We don't have to pass a law, a citywide law, to keep folks from pulling up their pants, and keep from keeping their pants below their bottoms. You know, we may not like that. We may not like twerking. We may not like cussing. We may not like these things that the kids are engaging in. But that goes back to what I said earlier. What are we doing to make sure that if we don't like it, we have alternatives to what they can be doing? You know, I think too often we put emphasis on what shouldn't be versus, you know, what we should be doing.
That's true.
And that's where, you know, progress stops. That's where, you know, that's where what can be done and what's not being done is separated.
That's true. Yeah. Now, let's just talk about some of the. I guess you were talking about laws that you helped get pushed through. Like, we can talk about a lot of those. Like, what all did you help get pushed through? What was it about the
Talking about the schools.
Yeah, the school district, opportunity school district. That's it. Yeah.
Well, I can't take credit for that. But, you know, that was something that happened statewide. That wasn't just something I was out here screaming about. But I did feel passionate about it because the governor wanted to take over 21 schools in Richmond County. And that was just in Richmond County alone. He wanted to take up to 100 schools in the state of Georgia. And I found a problem with that because, you know, he would come and say that the schools were failing because of this, or the schools are failing because of that. But we saw that in Richmond County alone, that schools are being cut up to $3 billion in one single year, and close to, I think it was somewhere around double-digit numbers in 10 years. And so we found a problem with that. So you're telling us that we're failing in one way, but, you know, I like to give this example. If I'm supposed to run a race, if you have both your legs, and we're both running a race, but I don't have any legs at all, I can't run that race at the same pace that you're running that race. And so we came together and we realized that, yes, our schools did face certain levels of you know, some of our schools were not where they needed to be. That's just the honest truth. But we also had to dissect that a little bit more and realize and kind of figure out why our schools weren't doing that. And when I say we, I mean the community. The community came together. We were with the school board, with different community organizations, different leaders, and statewide and locally. We really had to sit down and figure out why, you know, X, Y, and Z was going on. And a lot of it was just because the schools were underfunded. People may say, well, you know, we just can't throw money at schools, but at the same time, if you're expected to learn on the level of a child across town, if your zip code isn't as good as the zip code across the street, you're not going to get the education that they're getting across the street because they have better resources, they have better teachers, their teachers are getting paid more. I think it's a sin. It should be a crime for teachers to have to work 2 jobs. They are tasked with getting our kids prepared for the future.
Should have more
than one job. So that's one thing that we can be trying to solve right now, giving our teachers what they deserve. So we just had to really kind of come together and see what the problem was, and not just tell people to vote against the constitutional amendment, having the governor take over our schools. Because when I would go out and talk to people, they say, well, yeah, the governor should take over the schools because this isn't happening, that's not happening. But we had to give them alternatives. We had to let them know that a big portion of what's going on in our school systems is parental involvement. We have to make sure that our parents are involved in these schools, getting on the school councils. There's a school council for every school in Richmond County. We had to make sure that parents knew about the school council. We had to make sure that parents knew that the textbooks in their kids' classrooms were outdated, that the last president in their textbooks was Bill Clinton.
Wow.
So I mean,
way outdated.
Yeah, way outdated. Some schools' history books stopped at 9/11. And so we had to just make sure that parents knew what was going on in the school, get them involved, get them to understand that, you know, if we want our schools to turn around, that it's going to take a collaborative effort between the schools, the home, after-school organizations, so forth and so on. And even now we're looking at, you know, President Trump. I just hate saying that, but we're looking at President Trump right now. That's your president. We're looking at he's my president too.
Right.
We're looking at him now. You know, wanting to cut after-school programs by $1.2 billion. But I said before, we see that kids get in trouble the most between 3 to 6 o'clock at night, 3 to 7 o'clock. If they're in trouble after school, that's going to put them in a negative position to even succeed in school.
That's true.
So I said a lot, but at the end of the day, the community came together and we rejected the Opportunity School District. We came back to the table to try to offer other alternatives, and the House representatives passed the school bill. And there's still just a lot of different conversations going on right now as to how to solve our school, the issues in our schools. And we know that progress isn't going to happen overnight. It just doesn't work that way. But we're still out here, even in the midst of the dots being, the I's being dotted and T's being crossed. We're still out here in the process telling people to get involved in your schools. Make sure that you're involved in your school system. And if you see anything in your school systems that's contrary to progress, tell somebody.
Cut it off.
Tell somebody. Yeah, stop it right then and there. If you don't feel welcomed in your school, tell somebody about it, because that's what folks say. We don't feel welcome in the schools. Tell somebody about it. Now, our superintendent is doing a magnificent job in the school systems. But at the same time, if you feel like you are welcome to the school, or you feel like there's an issue in your school, tell somebody about it and then get involved in what's going on.
See, he's not going to hit this part, y'all. But y'all see how well he just said everything, and he's from this area, so he knows the issues that we're having. He know how to fix all these issues. But he's not going to hit this. He needs to get his behind in his seat and become mayor, governor, or something like that. He keep bucking on this, y'all. Why do you keep bucking on being mayor and going to the next level where you can make more things happen in the city?
Well, I just believe that you don't have to be in elected office to make a difference. I just don't believe that. I don't believe that you have to be elected to a specific position to get something done. Now, I'm honored that you even think I could be in these seats, you know. But at the same time, I would encourage everybody to start thinking about running for these offices. Because if there's so many issues out here that we're passionate about, we should be just as passionate about running for these seats. And that may sound a little hypocritical, but at the end of the day, I just don't feel like you have to be in those seats to make a positive difference. Now, will I run for office one day? I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. You just never know what's going to happen. But I just feel like you can do so much in your community right now without having to go and raise $20,000 or $30,000 to run for this position. It's just, you know, I just don't see it happening. Not right now, but I do feel that, you know, if you're passionate about what's going on in your communities, figure out how to run for some of these seats. One of y'all may be ready to run right now. Hit me up. I can help you do that. There you go. But, you know, not right now.
Now, George Johnson is a very busy man, so we can't hold him too long. But I do want you to look into the camera, man, and that young man that's looking up to you, he may be going astray. You know, he might be into gang banging, or he might be into some stuff. Like, I want you to talk to him and kind of tell him what you've been through, and kind of coach him through it, or just tell him, man, he ain't gotta. Just tell him what you want to tell him. Like, look to him and just tell him what you want to tell him. That person that's looking up to you.
All right. Well, I'll tell you one thing, man. There's nothing that you can't accomplish in life. I remember being in school and people telling me that I wasn't going to amount to anything, or people telling me that I just wasn't good enough, or that, you know, I came from the wrong side of town, or whatever the case may be. And your entire life is going to be filled with people telling you that you can't do something, that you're not good enough, or that you aren't cut out enough, or you don't have the best education. But one thing that I always tell people is that for every negative thing that someone says against you, use it as a way to build your steps towards going where you know for a fact that you are destined to go to. Whatever you want to be in life, just do it. I mean, I've been in the single parent households. I've grown up in the in Southside, in areas where it's really not, you know, really nice for kids to grow up. So I know what it's like to feel like the world is against you, but I also know what it feels like to, you know, pick myself up and to go after my dreams and to go after what I know that I can do, and not let anybody tell me I can't do it. See, that's one thing about me, Neal. If you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to prove to you that I can do it. And then I'm going to make sure that you see that I did it after I've done it.
Absolutely.
So just go after your dreams, and don't apologize for doing what you know it is that you're supposed to be doing. Do it unapologetically, and if anybody don't like it, that's between them and their God. But go out and be great. Kick down those doors and pull somebody in with you. That's my advice for them. That's the advice that was given to me, and I think that's the advice that our young men need to know, that they can do it regardless of what situations that they're in.
Yes, sir. Now, I want you to, how do they get in touch with you? I want you to tell the people how they can get in contact with you, Instagram, Snapchat, all that good stuff.
All right, I'm on Snapchat, Jordan_1114. That's a lot. But I'm on Facebook, Jordan Johnson. This guy. I'm on Facebook, Jordan Johnson. I'm on Instagram, Jordan C. Johnson. You can hit me up on Twitter, Jordan J. Vision. So email, everywhere. I'm not too hard to find.
Young Democrats Facebook page.
If you get on Facebook, you go to Young Democrats of Augusta, Richland County. We'll pop up. You can like the page and stay updated on what's going on. Send me a private message. My number is not secret, so you hit me up on social media. You can get my number. You talk to me about whatever you need to talk to me about, and we can kind of figure out how to get the ball rolling in whatever direction that you think it needs to go into.
Love it, man. Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely, man. You know it. Anytime.
This has been another Blair Brothers production. You're on the Dirty Couch with Mayor Jordan. I'm sorry. You're on the Dirty Couch with Jordan Johnson. Yeah.
Right. Hey, I'm Jordan Johnson. I'm the president of the Young Democrats of Augusta, Richland County, and I'm on the Dirty Couch with the Blair Brothers. And look, it's really dirty. I think I just saw a roach. Matter of fact, I'm out. Neal, give me my check, man.